Fort Jackson's training hall had been designed with one purpose: to strip people down to their rawest form and rebuild them into something stronger. The fluorescent lights above never softened, the walls never echoed comfort. Even silence here carried weight. Rows of soldiers sat rigidly at long metal tables, backs straight, boots aligned beneath their chairs. Camouflage blurred individuality into uniformity. Faces were tired but controlled. Fear, pride, ambition, everything was hidden behind discipline. Sergeant Maya Collins stood among them. She had learned early that survival depended on restraint. She didn't draw attention to herself. She followed orders precisely, never a second late, never a word extra. The instructors knew her as reliable, tough, quiet. They did not know her story. They did not know what lived beneath the fabric of her uniform. Shirts off for inspection, Colonel Hayes barked from the front of the hall. The command cracked through the room like a whip. Chairs scraped softly as soldiers rose in unison. Hands moved automatically. Shirts came off without hesitation. This was routine, another step in the long process of breaking habits and building obedience. Maya reached for the hem of her shirt. Her fingers stopped, just for a moment. In that moment, time stretched thin, memories pressed forward, nights spent wide awake, fists clenched not in anger but in restraint, lessons learned the hard way when no one had been there to teach them gently. She exhaled once, then she lifted the shirt over her head. The room stopped, not metaphorically, not emotionally. It stopped. A wave of stunned silence rippled outward as her back was revealed. Across her skin sprawled an enormous tattoo, so detailed it looked alive. Two dragons, one black and one white, twisted together in a perfect yin-yang formation. Fire curled from the black dragon's jaws, glowing with rage and heat. Frost traced the scales of the white dragon, cold and calm, sharp as glass. They chased each other endlessly, neither overpowering the other, locked in eternal balance. Someone gasped. Another soldier's mouth fell open. A drill instructor took a half-step forward without realizing he had moved. This wasn't a small mark hidden on a shoulder. This wasn't forgettable ink. This was deliberate, bold, impossible to ignore. Maya stood perfectly still, shoulders squared, spine straight. She didn't turn around. She didn't rush to explain. She had known this moment would come someday, and she had decided long ago that when it did, she would not flinch. Colonel Hayes stared at her back, his expression hard to read. "That," he said slowly, pointing, "is not regulation." "Yes, sir," Maya answered calmly. The quiet deepened. "You're aware of the consequences?" He asked. "Yes, sir." There was no tremor in her voice. No challenge either, just truth. Hayes folded his arms. "Explain." Maya turned to face him. Her eyes were steady, dark with something deeper than defiance. "It's a reminder, sir." "A reminder of what?" Another officer snapped. She took a breath, not because she was afraid, but because the words mattered. Balance. A murmur moved through the room. "This place teaches strength." Maya continued, "But strength without control becomes destruction, and control without strength becomes fear." The officers exchanged glances. Colonel Hayes studied her. "You didn't get that tattoo for attention." "No, sir." "Then why?" Maya hesitated, not out of doubt, but out of respect for the truth. "I grew up in a house where anger ruled one day and silence ruled the next," she said. "I learned early that extremes break people. I learned how easy it is to become the very thing you hate." The room felt heavier. "When I was younger, I fought everything," she went on. "Every voice, every rule, every shadow, and one day I realized I was losing control, not because I was weak, but because I didn't understand restraint." Her fingers curled slightly at her sides. The tattoo is a promise to myself that power must be balanced with purpose, that calm must be protected by courage. No one interrupted her. Even the drill instructors listened. Colonel Hayes turned away, conferring quietly with the officers. Whispers moved through the hall like electricity. Soldiers sat frozen, unsure whether they were witnessing the end of a career or the beginning of something else. Maya stood alone at the center of it all. She thought about the night she had gotten the tattoo, the sting of the needle, the pain she welcomed because it was honest. She remembered looking at her reflection afterward and finally seeing something whole. Anger acknowledged, control earned. Colonel Hayes turned back. "Sergeant Collins," he said, "the Army demands discipline. Yes, sir. It also demands warriors who understand restraint." The room stiffened. "You will not be punished." A sharp intake of breath echoed across the hall. "But hear this clearly," Hayes continued. "From this moment forward, your actions must justify the meaning you claim. You don't get credit for symbolism. You earn respect through conduct." Maya nodded once. "Understood, sir." Hayes faced the room. "Let this be a lesson. Uniformity creates order, but mastery creates leaders." Silence followed. Not shocked silence this time, but something closer to respect. Maya pulled her shirt back on, the dragons disappearing beneath regulation fabric. But the room had changed. The soldiers looked at her differently now, not with disbelief, with understanding. She returned to her seat without ceremony. Training resumed. Commands were shouted. Orders followed. The machine moved forward, but something lingered in the air. A reminder that strength isn't about erasing who you are. It's about knowing exactly who you are and controlling it. And beneath her uniform, hidden once more, the dragons remained locked in balance, just as they always had been.